Charged.
Hello and welcome to Vision #2, our second episode explaining our new vision for the youth work at St. John's. We are charged with the greatest commandment, to love God with all our heart, soul and mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is this:
Love your neighbour
as yourself. All the law and prophets hang on these two commandments, which says that in Matthew 22:39 to 40. This is the second half of the passage we began last week. So what does this mean? What does it mean to love our neighbour? Who is our neighbour? Does it mean just the person who lives next door? What if we don't live next door to anyone? And the sentence didn't end there. It's love your neighbour as yourself, which begs the question, what does it mean to love yourself? And why did Jesus give two commandments when the teacher of the law only asked for one? Is that significant? Is one more important than the other? And what does this all look like in practice? I wonder what your initial response is. Why don't you take a moment to pause the video and ponder on those questions for a moment. As I said in our last episode, the word love in English doesn't really fully express what we mean. And last time we contemplated the Hebrew translation for love, which is ahava. So this week we're going to look at the Greek for love, which is agape. Agape is the unconditional love, the undeserved, unmerited, no strings attached. We've done nothing to deserve it, and yet it is given anyway. Again, this is not just a feeling towards another person, this is love in action, which is why the early church used this word when writing down what Jesus said and did. They didn't have an ancient dictionary to choose this word from or to look up its definition. They used the word agape because they learnt what it meant by seeing how Jesus lived and taught. Agape love is seeking the well-being of others. And even more than that, it's seeking the well-being of others and not expecting anything in return. And we see Jesus time and again drawing close to those who could offer him nothing. But instead, he offered them everything. And we see this taken one step further in Luke chapter 6, verse 35. But love your enemies, do good to them, and lend to them without any expectation of getting anything back. This agape love isn't only for the people that we like, it's for anyone, even your enemy, without the expectation of anything in return. Quite radical love, isn't it? I wonder how you feel about that. It's quite a nice thing to accept it for ourselves, but us showing that kind of love to others, is it really possible? Why don't you take a moment to ponder on that? And whilst you're thinking about it, you could have a look at these three passages that are examples of Jesus' agape love. Matthew chapter 6, verse 35 to 44, you'll find the feeding of the 5,000. Luke chapter 5, verse 12 to 16, Jesus heals a man with leprosy. And John chapter 13, verse 1 to 8, Jesus washes his disciples' feet. You can pause the video now to take time for this. So we've asked the question, is this possible? Is it possible to love others with this love? And the answer is yes, but only through Jesus. Jesus is quoting directly from the Old Testament again, this time in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. Maybe not as well known as the Shema prayer from last week, but this definitely would have rung a bell with his listeners. Jesus is referencing a well-known law again to bring home the fuller picture of the story of the Bible, our relationship with God, and how that is played out with others. What we know is this: through Jesus' life, death, and resurrection, he fulfills the law and everything the prophets had said. And we said last week that Jesus is the only person who was able to love God with all of his being. And this week, Jesus is the only person who is able to love his neighbour as himself. And he did this by willingly dying on the cross in our place. And we read this in Romans chapter 5, verse 8. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: whilst we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Through his agape love, we are able to love God and love others as ourselves. We asked at the beginning, why did Jesus reply with 2 commandments when he was only asked for 1? And is one more important than the other? Well, if Jesus was here right now, his answer would be yes. One command can't come without the other. To love God is to love your neighbour. To love your neighbour is to love God. And we can't do either without acknowledging and receiving God's love for us, out of which his love flows through us into the world. It is a never-ending cycle of learning and growing. As we understand more of God's love for us, our love for him grows and our love for others grows. And as we experience his grace, his forgiveness and his love when we make mistakes, our love can only grow when people make mistakes towards us. We are creating an ecosystem of others-focused, self-giving love. And that's what will transform this world. And that is what we are charged to do.